We've all come to accept and expect Zendaya to be the best dressed on every red carpet she sets foot on. Her red carpet ensembles are always so on point that if she told us it was magically put together by a fairy godmother with a wave of a wand, we'll believe it. But that would be very far from the truth, because in interviews she has said the exact strategy that she used to earn her spot as a fashion icon.
But also another thing that I feel like helped me create an avenue and a lane of my own that was outside of Disney Channel was fashion. Yeah, like I would show up to shit I had no business being at just so I can get the look. You know what I'm saying? I was called for years to be like, oh, the seat filler, she just shows up to everything. You know what I'm saying? I was like, yeah, but I look good though, so how about that? Still on the best dress list.
At first glance, it sounds like the typical mantra of any celebrity trying to get in on the best dressed list. But if you've watched Zendaya's journey closely, you'd know that this was not about clothes. This was about war. This was about reinvention. This was about breaking free from the glitter handcuffs of Disney stardom and doing it with grace, strategy, and waist-snatching silhouettes. This is the story of how Zendaya weaponized fashion, defied every rejection, and emerged as one of the most respected and unproblematic icons of our time. Let's start with Disney, where the story always begins. So Zendaya Coleman danced her way into our hearts on Shake It Up, the bedazzled fever dream of a show where 2010's twin girls wore fedoras and had dance battles in shopping malls. She was charming, stylish, and a natural in front of the camera, but she still had the Disney stigma, and that's a problem because being a Disney star is like being gifted a glitter bomb. It's fun, it's sparkly, it gets your attention, but try cleaning it up afterwards and you find out that the residue lingers for months. And when it comes to the mainstream entertainment industry, Hollywood has a long dusty shelf of child actors who could never shake that squeaky clean image and be seen as the messy, mature, complicated humans they've grown to be. For every Miley Cyrus who manages to rebrand, and even she had to swing naked on a wrecking ball to get there are dozens who never make it out of the mouse's house. And for black women in Hollywood, that box is even smaller and harder to break out of. But Zendaya wasn't blind to this. She saw what happened to other Disney stars who faded into obscurity, and others tried to rebrand through chaos, mayhem, and even a wrecking ball, and a few like Raven Simone and Keke Palmer who had to claw for every ounce of respect post-Disney. And so Zendaya chose a different route, one without breakdowns or baby daddies, without mugshots of mystery rehab stints. She chose to weaponize fashion. And not the typical celebrity fashion route where you wear one borrowed gown and hope someone at People takes a decent photo of you. Nope. Instead, Zendaya treated every red carpet, talk show appearance, and front row seat like an audition for cultural relevance. And the star of the production, her secret weapon, Law Roach. Law Roach is the architect behind The Anointing, Zendaya's real-life god stylist, and the architect of her style revolution. Zendaya met 33-year-old Law Roach in 2011 when he was a personal shopper for a family friend. The friend asked him to style Zendaya for the premiere of Justin Bieber's Never Say Never documentary. When they first started working together when Zendaya was 14, she wasn't on anyone's best dressed list. Sure, she was cute and marketable, but she was not considered a serious fashion force. But Law Roach turned it all around. Together, they treated every red carpet, press appearance, and promo tour like a runway show. Zendaya didn't just dress well, she showed up in looks that told stories that made people pause. She was starting to make fashion moments, and that wasn't by accident. As Zendaya later revealed in an interview, she had to look good on purpose. She said she and Law Roach would plan, prepare, and style every look like it was an audition, not for a role, but for respect. She wasn't just trying to look grown up. She was begging the industry to see a grown woman in her as someone with taste, with vision, and with range. Law Roach isn't just a stylist, he's a fashion philosopher, a visual historian, and the fashion industry calls him the image architect. And truly, he built Zendaya from the ground up. But there was a big problem because the fashion industry, especially the big European luxury houses, wanted nothing to do with her. Law Roach has talked about this many times in interviews. He said that in the early years, no one wanted to dress Zendaya. Not Dior, not Chanel, not Gucci, not Valentino. She wasn't considered high fashion enough. Translation, she wasn't either white enough or she wasn't an A-lister yet, and she still had Disney glitter all over her.
I would write the big five, I would write Saint Laurent, Chanel, Gucci, Valentino, Dior. And they would all say no. Try again next year. She's too green. She's not on our calendar. Like, I still have all the receipts. I still have everything. By the time she had got to American Vogue, she still had never worn any of those designers. She still hasn't. She only wore Valentino when she got a Valentino campaign.
No, that can't be right. She had never worn any of those brands.
In an editorial, yes, but on a red carpet, she still has never worn Dior on a carpet. She still has never worn Chanel on a carpet. She has still never worn Gucci on a carpet. Any press, any appearance, never. Never.
So Law Roach and Zendaya did what any pair of style renegades would do. They bought the clothes themselves. That's right, the red carpet looks we all drooled over in the early years, many of them weren't borrowed. They were instead purchased with their own coins. They styled, they paid, they posed, and they posted until the fashion world could not ignore her anymore. Now let's talk about one of the biggest scandals that Zendaya has ever found herself in that turned out to be for her good. It's also one of the prominent moments that gave her her own spotlight in the fashion industry. And that is the dreadlocks controversy that happened during the 2015 Oscars. At the 2015 Oscars, Zendaya showed up in a creamy Vivienne Westwood off-the-shoulder gown with long waistline forelocks, a stunning regal Afrocentric hairstyle that felt fresh, political, and gorgeously grounded, which should have been celebrated. But instead, Juliana Rancic of the Fashion Police took the mic and said that Zendaya looked like she smells like patchouli oil and weed.
I think she's just such a tiny frame that this hair to me overwhelms her. Like I feel like she smells like patchouli oil. Or weed.
Yep, she said that. So the backlash was swift, and Zendaya, who was just 18 years old at the time, responded with a now legendary Instagram post that was classy, sharp, and devastating. She wrote, "There's a fine line between what's funny and what's disrespectful. There's already harsh criticisms of African American hair in society without the help of ignorant people who choose to judge others based on the curl of their hair." Mic drop. She didn't cry, she didn't clap back, she just educated. That moment proved that Zendaya was more than just a pretty face. She had poise, she had purpose, and she had power. And Juliana Rancic apologized immediately, twice.
I want to say to Zendaya and anyone else out there that I have hurt that I am so sincerely sorry. This really has been a learning experience for me. I've learned a lot today. And this incident has taught me to be a lot more aware of cliches and stereotypes, how much damage they can do.
Zendaya accepted the apology with a powerful message on Instagram, which earned her acknowledgement from powerful figures like Oprah Winfrey, Viola Davis, and Whoopi Goldberg, and earned her even more respect among the general public. And of course, the world started paying attention. From that moment on, Zendaya and Law Roach went full throttle. Let's run down some of the most jaw-dropping, history-making, girl you did that fashion moments that she served. So we have the 2017 Met Gala when Zendaya showed up dressed in a parrot print Dolce & Gabbana Ultramoda ball gown. She looked like a living Renaissance painting dipped in fire. And get this, she was in the emergency room just the night before the Met because of an allergic reaction she had to the antibiotics she was taking to cure a throat infection. And she was actually reluctant to go to the hospital because she felt like it was too much to show up with security and many cars to the hospital just for a throat infection when there were actual people having actual problems. And then we've got the 2019 Emmys where she's in a custom green very long dress with a thigh-high slit and old Hollywood waves. And we've got a 2019 Met Gala with a theme camp, where our girl Zendaya served a full Cinderella moment in custom heel figure, complete with glowing blue fabric, and Law Roach as her fairy god stylist with a wand. Fashion, but make it storybook. And then we've got the 2021 Oscars where she wore a yellow Valentino gown inspired by Cher, windblown, midriff, and once again a moment. She doesn't walk red carpets, she reenacts legends. And so by the time that she became the youngest recipient of the CFDA Fashion Icon Award in 2021 at the age of 25, nobody was laughing anymore. They were applauding. And the biggest luxury fashion brand in the world, Louis Vuitton, finally said yes. After years and years of cold shoulders, Zendaya finally got her official high fashion coronation in 2023 when she became the face of Louis Vuitton's Capucines handbag campaign. This wasn't a handout, it was a long overdue recognition because Louis Vuitton is known for only partnering with established royalty like Emma Stone. But they had chosen Zendaya not just for her beauty, but for her impact. And she sure wasn't a mannequin. She was a muse. The campaign was shot in the south of France, styled to cinematic perfection and later followed by another major coup. Zendaya fronted Louis Vuitton's Resort 2025 campaign, including a tie-in with Takashi Murakami. She had gone from rejected to reigning supreme. Now let's talk about how the Spider-Man effect and the lack of baby daddy drama has contributed to the rise of this shining star. Because we can't pretend that her Spider-Man era didn't help. Zendaya's role as MJ opposite Tom Holland gave her a new level of exposure, but more importantly, it made her cool. MJ wasn't a damsel in distress. She was dry, sarcastic, aloof, and brilliant, kind of like Zendaya herself. And the romance that blossomed off screen, chef's kiss. Zendaya and Tom Holland became a Gen Z power couple. They were private, respectful, scandal-free, and adored by fans and brands alike. In true classy fashion, their engagement was subtly revealed at the 2025 Golden Globes, where Zendaya wore a large diamond ring and debuted a T tattoo, reportedly matched by Tom Holland's Z tattoo. Sources confirmed that Tom Holland proposed during the holidays at one of Zendaya's family homes. She's already good at keeping the personal parts of her life private, which speaks volume about how classy she is. And as though that was not classy enough, Law Roach, her longtime stylist and creative partner, recently shared insights into her upcoming wedding to Tom Holland, emphasizing the couple's commitment to privacy. In a May 2025 interview on Complex's Please Explain series, Law Roach says Zendaya's wedding dress will likely be one that nobody would ever see, highlighting the couple's commitment and desire for an intimate ceremony without public exposure. He also elaborated that there won't be any media coverage or official photographs of the wedding, and guests will be expected to respect the couple's privacy. He also mentioned that due to Zendaya's demanding schedule with multiple projects at hand, he hasn't yet envisioned her wedding gown. Of course, fans are eager to see her wedding dress. I mean, it's Zendaya. But obviously, due to these comments, I don't think we're getting anything, which is fine because everyone has their own lives to live, yeah? But when you compare Zendaya's classy ways to the messier love lives of other former Disney child stars, you'd understand why her image has become pure gold. Because while her peers have made headlines for baby daddies and the drama that comes with it, rehab stints, lawsuits, or messiness on Instagram Live, Zendaya has remained focused, booked, and above all, drama-free. And that's not shading anybody, it's just highlighting Zendaya's strategy. So here's her blueprint. Here's what she did. She got rejected a lot, but she kept showing up in groundbreaking, stunning looks anyways. And with that, she built her own fashion narrative with Law Roach as her co-author. And she used grace instead of scandal. She let the clothes, the talent, and the receipts speak for themselves. And what did the fashion world do? They eventually caught up. Zendaya is what the industry once called a triple threat, an artist who can act, sing, and model with equal command. And then there's the matter of her modeling. Besides being featured in many magazines, she's appeared on 3 Vogue covers, her first while still in the Disney machine. No wonder there's a viral meme going on that says that models are very lucky that Zendaya chose acting. If not, they will be floored. Besides being a natural on magazine covers, Zendaya has fronted campaigns for luxury fashion brands like Louis Vuitton, Valentino, and Bulgari. But it's not just her beauty or poise that makes her so compelling, it's her instinct for narrative, even in stillness. Which brings us to the movie premieres and the press tours, where Zendaya has quietly revived an old school idea with new vitality. Method dressing, where she turns the red carpet into a continuation of the story she's telling on screen. At the Spider-Man premiere, for example, she wore a black and red sequin gown, echoing the signature suit of the Spider-Man. For Dune, she appeared in a custom sculpted Balmain dress designed to mimic the desert's color and landscape in the movie. At the Greatest Showman premiere, she wore a butterfly gown, a nod to the metamorphosis and spectacle, both themes featured in the movie. And as though the universe was showing its approval for her outfit, there were so many butterflies on the red carpet, and all those were not planned. Then came the futuristic metal bodysuit for Dune Part 2, lifted from the Mugler archives and re-engineered for this very moment. And of course, the world stopped and gagged and still can't get over it to this day. As a matter of fact, it's one of the most talked about fashion moments of the decade. She then followed that with a deconstructed white shirt and sculptural lobster skirt from Schiaparelli, and a Rick Owens gown whose overlapping detail mirrored the contours of a desert landscape. Zendaya's style doesn't merely complement the film, it extends its atmosphere. As a matter of fact, after Zendaya's method dressing press tour style, other actresses like Blake Lively followed suit, with Blake Lively wearing florals during her press tour for It Ends With Us, portraying her character Lily Bloom, who had a flower shop. At the end of the day, Zendaya didn't just want to be famous, she wanted to be seen. Not as a child star, not as someone's girlfriend, not as a trend, but as an artist, an icon, and a woman in control of her own image and her own story. She understood what so many in the industry do not, that the most powerful kind of transformation is the one that looks effortless, but is in fact a masterclass in long-term vision. So the next time our girl walks into a room in archival Galliano or head-to-toe Louis Vuitton, understand that it's not just a look, it's a chapter in the story of how a black girl from Oakland beat the system with style, smart, and the best damn stylist in the business. And she did it all without having to twerk on a wrecking ball. What do you think about that? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. My name is Jojo the Map, and it was fabulous hanging out with you. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. I really do appreciate it. See you again in the next video. Till then, remain beautiful, remain stylish, remain blessed. Bye!